I treated myself to a custom pair of sneakers recently, and they came in this really cool bag, and I got so excited about the bag, I decided, hey, let's make a fantastic, completely finished bag, makes a great gift item with a double pull drawstring. Let's get started. On my sweet drawstring bag here, I'm using the Crossroads Denims by Indigo Junction, and I love it because it's not only strong, but it's also soft. Now, when you're working with Crossroads, I want to point out that there is a bit of a nap to it, or a texture on both sides. So there's kind of a rough side that I consider the wrong side, and then there's a nice soft, and you can actually see the nap in it, and I consider that the right sides always when I'm working with the Crossroads. So keeping that in mind, choose 2 of your favorite colors, right? And then make yourselves a few rectangles. 2 is all you really need. 13 inches by 18 inches will make this bag, and if you follow those measurements, all of this will work when we get up to the draw cord. But this is a technique, so of course you can do this any way, any size. You'll just have to have more draw cord, or less possibly, right? Okay, now let's get into the way this works. So what we're going to end up building together is this panel twice. And what you see are no raw edges once we get ready to get into the finishing stages. So I've double folded the sides, and then I've single folded and created a casing up here for the drawstring. And it will be easier for you to see the technique on the orange fabric. I think I'm pretty organized on that here. So there's that double fold, and we need to do it to the other side first. So what I do is I kind of just pinch in what looks to be about 1/4 of an inch, and then again as I roll it and I wander over to the sewing machine, and all of the parts of the bag count this time. So I've already got my cream colored thread in the machine so that any of my top stitching that shows will look awesome as well. And now I'm just going to run a stitch. Then I can just twist it and fold it back underneath there as we go. Okay. Super easy for that. And again, that was double folded, so no raw edge. Now, if your fabrics have any kind of print or texture to them, make sure that you're now doing this to what will be the top edge of your bag. It's going to be a single fold first with another 1/4 inch seam allowance. You don't need much to secure it. We're going to do it one more time to kill that raw edge. Okay. And of course, I'll trim up all my threads at the end as well. I love using the seam guides, especially while I'm doing all of the stages. So before I roll into my 1-inch seam, I would make sure I did this to both sides of the bag, because now I'm going to just slide my edge guide out of the way. I'm going to bring this in about a 1-inch fold, and I'm actually now using the markings on my stitch plate to see that. And now I'm going to line up my outside edge so that it stays square. And we're going to do this again. I backstitch because it's going to be one of my finishing edges. And now I'm stitching right on top of that thread so that it looks nice on the inside of the bag. The other option would be to stitch down about 1/8 of an inch and make a parallel running look on your stitches. Either way works perfect. Okay? Now, at this point, you have this side finished, and you have this side finished, but we want to do what will be considered a French seam. So I've got to stop, I've got to think it through, right? Because normally we join right sides together, so we have to start with wrong sides together for the French seam. So this is a wrong side, it's the inside of the bag. This is a wrong side. I'm going to marry up those 2 seams, and I'm going to do a 1/4 inch across the bottom, or even less. So watch, I won't even put that edge guide back into place. I'm just going to use basically the edge of my presser foot now. We're just securing this. We're going to catch it again in a second. I'm going to roll through nice and quick. Just like that. Okay, now This point here is where if you're going to do any embellishment through applique or embroidery, like I did on my bag, right, with my cool man sewing logo, I want you to consider doing it now. That way if you need to stitch around it, you can without your bag sealed, and or you also know where to position it. So when I came out of my embroidery machine, I already had this secured because it gave me the opportunity to account for the seam allowance that's going to happen, okay? So applique, embellish, embroider, whatever you're going to do first, and now we're going to finish the bag off. So right now what you see here are the wrong sides, which is standard sewing. What I do is I fold it over, and this would be a great time to hit it with the iron because that'll help us secure that. And when we take this next seam allowance, what we do not want to happen is we do not want to take such a narrow seam allowance that the little thread tails show up from that first raw edge. So now I'm coming in here and I'm doing about a 3/8 or a 1/2 of an inch. And a lot of times you can kind of feel that with your presser foot, meaning you can feel that seam allowance inside. I'm going to roll this through here. And cut that. And before we go any further, what I want to do is I want to make sure that when I open this up, I don't have any threads hanging out of there because this would be the time that I would fix that if I had a problem, okay? We're still right sides together. We're going to just sew up the seams, but we're not going to sew our casing. So I need you to stop right here. I don't want you to sew your drawstring casings closed. Okay? So we're going to go up one side. And you got a lot of bulk down there. You might need to give it a little bit of encouragement, but don't push too hard. That's where you'll break your needle. Ask me how I know. We're just coming up here. And when I get up to where those casings are, I'm going to get as close as I can. I don't have to be right up against them. And I'm going to backstitch a few times, because that really helps put some security against that load. And we're going to do the other side, and we are done shy of our draw cord. Okay, so I've got a backstitch in there as a reminder to make sure that's really good and secure. And now it's time to handle putting in our draw cord. Now for the draw cord, I love this paracord, right? It's a nylon product, so it can be cut and melted, and it comes in a huge variety of colors, and it's super strong. This bag, the minimum you're going to need is 2 pieces at 27 inches long. When we're done, we're going to tie this little knot. So that's why I say minimum of 27 inches. That's the perfect size, but if you want to go longer, cut it after it's tied and then melt it. That's a really easy technique as well. I've already got my pieces cut, so I'm going to show you that real quick. And I've melted 3 of the 4 ends. Kids, I know you love man sewing. Kids, you know you're not supposed to play with fire, so make sure you are not doing this at all without your parents' help. And I'm going to say if you're under 18. Okay, now, one of the tricks is go into the blue part of the lighter so you don't burn the cord. I found that out yesterday. The yellow part makes it sooty looking. And now that's beautiful, like that. And every now and again, there'll be a little bit of a sharp edge on there that could get snagged as you're running it through the cord or the casing. So that's trimmed off. Now I have a safety pin pre-prepared in one side, and what you're going to do is you're going to enter one of the draw cord casing sides there, and you're going to push it all the way through. Now if you have a larger safety pin, it would be great. I happen to have my basting safety pins around, so that's what I grabbed. It's still working pretty good. And I just love the texture on this denim. I use it for all kinds of stuff. Okay, so we're almost done. Now, but this is a double pull draw cord bag. You could certainly do it with 1, but I like 2. You saw the way it cinches up nice. So now as it's coming around, don't let go of this. You don't want to pull it all the way through, but I'm going to feed it back into the other side. Okay, once it gets started, it's fantastic. If you need to practice at home before you do this, go around and take all of the cords out of your sweatshirt hoodies, right? And practice, 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 and then you'll be an expert at this. If you take that advice, I think you need to find a new show to watch. Okay, we're almost there. I'm stalling as long as I can, but I really need to show you how to tie it off. But I will encourage you to go ahead and do the other one on your own. I won't take your time for that today, but you're going to run it in the opposite direction so you have a knot on each side. Now, the key to working with this is grab it here, and then just scrunch up the bag. So you've got plenty of room to work. Okay, line up those tips, kind of twist it around your finger and push it through. And then the next trick is hang on to the tips and scoot the knot up to the tips. Get it nice and secured like that. And then to make sure you did it right, you can open up your bag and that knot just fits in right inside of the draw cord. So remember, you have the knots on both sides that way, and then you can just grab them and give it a pull and it's cinched up. And really, I absolutely love these bags because we took the time to finish all the edges. These are a fantastic gift item. Fill them up and give them to all your friends. And while you're thinking about the perfect gift item, drop your suggestions in the comments below. Christmas is around the corner and I need to know what to ask for. We'll catch you next time at Man Sewing.